Tara's cooking dinner, but doesn't realize how loud it is.
Am I being loud?
It's pretty loud on the YouTube, but it should be fine.
You can't really hear too much, to be honest.
I mean, we could find out, but we create some interesting feedback.
Yeah.
7:45. We're on time. It's not broken. Everything's going okay.
I don't see it. Does it automatically? I can't log in until it's 8 o'clock. Is that what's going on?
What do you mean? Log in on what?
Because if you go to like YouTube, it doesn't pop up.
It popped up for me. Like, what link are you using?
Well, I'm on the live stream. I was going to the YouTube and then going to the San Grand, San Diego YouTube channel.
Let's find out. There are technically 3 people watching. That's all me.
Oh, here we go. I've found it. Oh, fancy. Oh, here we go. I've found it. Oh, there's a lag. It's weird. Oh, fancy. There's a big lag. Oh, here we go. I've found it.
So
It's weird. Oh, fancy.
There's a 7 Grand live thing that I scheduled and I can't figure out how to cancel it. We'll be right back. There's a 7 Grand live thing that I scheduled and I can't figure out how to cancel it. We'll be right back. There's a 7 Grand live thing that I scheduled and I can't figure out how to cancel it. We'll be right back.
Yeah, there's not a 10-second lag from us to the live stream.
Zach, mute your phone or mute your YouTube stream.
Yeah, I did.
Zach, what? Mute your phone or mute your YouTube. You have a mute everything that isn't the Lightstream Studio interface.
Cool. I just did that.
Because we're catching feedback.
Gotcha. Should we know? So I'm on the YouTube one just to be on the chat side.
Yeah, I've got my computer set up over here for it. There is. I guess we've still got 10 minutes before anyone wants to show up. I told everyone 8 o'clock.
So far, we're at 4 people. Someone's here.
I don't know who.
Unless that's your computer.
It might be my computer. If it drops down to 3, then we know. But if there's 4, then we know someone's here. Is someone here watching us? Comment underneath.
I don't know. Before it said.
No.
Do we have a new link for the GoFundMe? Because I think the last one maxed out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had it, and then I apparently didn't save it.
Gotcha.
So I need to go mess with that. So I will be right back. One more time. Goodness gracious. Yeah, there needs to be. I can't.
Well, I mean, I do always leave my webcam on in my room just in case you're watching. So it's for you, big boy. All right. Excuse me. Oh, no, doesn't really say. Don't worry, guys. Chad's just late, so just wait on him. Yeah, Matt, I can't find the Instagram one either, but YouTube works.
It's
Chad's wearing a
on.
robe.
I can't get it to run.
Which one?
I can't get it to post on Instagram, but it's on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's on Facebook and it's on the other one.
I don't know. I can't get the Instagram live up, but YouTube works. It's the only one I saw.
It looks like there's something sneaky going on that I didn't know about.
Very sneaky. "11 people were famous."
11 people? That's super exciting. Hi, guys. Sorry, I'm just like on my phone. That's just like the saddest thing ever.
Totally.
Don't actively tease me.
Yeah, what's going on right now? That's the saddest thing.
You know everyone can hear you, right? My wife's making fun of me right now.
That's okay.
Ooh, Michael Ballard's here. What's up, man?
Yes. Hi, Chad.
All right, I am almost ready to pay attention. Apparently, yeah.
Let's go start drinking now.
Yeah, definitely. If anyone is tuning in at the moment, you should definitely have a drink in your hand. I can't do it. I give up. There's no Instagram post. I quit. I quit.
Josh wants a story. Oh, man. I don't know. Maybe later.
Story? How many people we have
First
at
one.
the moment? 14.
Oh, Jay's here. Yay.
Jay is here. All right.
Well, I'm also disappointed that there is no fire, which means Trevor is more of a woodsman than Chad is.
You want me to light a fire? I'll light a fire.
Which we always knew. I think Trevor's a bit of a mountain man. Are you going to do that right now?
I'm cheating. Of course I'm going to do that right now. Tara, do you know where a match is?
We are.
Should be some in the
Chad's late.
fire pumper stand. I made a beautiful dinner somehow.
It's because you're good at cooking.
Whatever.
Wild turkey.
Wild turkey. All right, let's give it a few more minutes. Let everyone go get a whiskey. Everybody should go get a whiskey if you have not gotten a whiskey. Sure. Thank you for joining us.
Ivany, you're drinking mezcal at a whiskey podcast?
What?
I'm only kind of mad at you.
I like that Ivany is drinking mezcal. That's pretty awesome.
I like mezcal.
See, now there's a fire.
That was quick.
It's because it's cheating. We have the fire logs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not cheating. It's 2020. That's what technology is for.
Something like that. Do we need to how now brown cow this?
Unique New York. Unique New York.
Slower, Zach. Unique New York.
Unique New York.
Now do it while looking at the camera. Unique New York.
Unique New York.
It's a little harder than I thought it was going to be. Well, we're around 1920. I'm feeling good. Should we go ahead and start?
Yeah, man, let's do it. Is everyone ready?
Everyone feeling good? Everyone have a drink?
A lag, but
Well, there's always a lag just in case we need to cut things.
I'll be dropping plenty of F-bombs, so don't worry. out of spite. Very nice.
Fresh glass of whiskey. Everyone follow along. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be very exciting. Welcome to Whiskey Society Live. It's our new adventure and test on how things are going. I'm really excited to introduce Zach Ryan, for those of you who don't know me, although of the group, I think there's a bunch of us there. I am Chad Owen. I'm the general manager of 7 Grand San Diego. Zach here is my AGM. I think the two of us have over a decade's worth of whiskey drinking experience, lots of trips to Kentucky, trips to Ireland and Scotland. We have
we're getting up there
all the time. Josh will be with us on Friday, so I'm sorry that he's not here tonight, but I think he's watching from a distance at the moment. How are you, Zach?
Great, man. Just, self-quarantine. A lot of alone time to think about whiskey. Hello to everyone else out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really want to give a big shout out to everyone that helped donate to the GoFundMe page. You have absolutely no idea what it means to the rest of the staff. This is some crazy, unprecedented mind fuck of a time of what we're kind of going through right now. No one really knows what's going on. And so just having kind of that sense of community and everyone pitching in and helping out has been just incredible. And just from the bottom of my heart, and I think the rest of the staff's, we just want to say thank you. So thank you so much for sticking with us through all of this. So
if you are enjoying the Whiskey Society and would like to continue to support us and help out the staff, as we don't really understand how long all of this is going to go on and things are a little crazy, there is a link underneath on the GoFundMe page. Tip us as you deem appropriate. We really appreciate it. But let's get into tonight's topic, which is, what's your favorite whiskey, Zach?
Wild Turkey Rare Breed.
Just that quick?
I mean, it's such a complicated question. I mean, and I know Josh Judd says this all the time, and so I steal this line from him. But you can't listen to the same song every day. So I have a lot, but yeah, right now, and I'm stuck inside. If I have a choice, yeah, right now I'd say Wild Turkey Rare Breed. But yeah, that's hard. I mean, Scotch-wise, Highland Park, definitely a go-to for me. Anything cask strength, so Maker's Cask Strength, the rare breeds, anything that tastes like jet fuel, I'm pretty rare to go with.
It's a little bit of a difficult question then, because you started with a clear, confident decision. But would you drink rare breed if it was 110 at the beach?
No, I'd probably drink a beer.
That's good call. Gin and tonic, beer, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with the idea of what your favorite whiskey actually is, Zach, I think the way that we should talk about this conversation is realizing that there's a variety of places to look at whiskey. So we'll start talking about, is there bad whiskey? And then what makes expensive whiskey expensive? Does expensive whiskey ever land in our favorites lists? Like, would I ever be truly in love with a $600 bottle of whiskey? And then whiskey that's available, and versus scarcity, and like, should we be chasing things that are impossible to find and really count those as the best whiskeys we've ever had, or not? And then really get into whiskeys that are interesting, that we love talking about, and end it kind of with whiskeys that we love. So Zach, is there bad whiskey?
Yes. To be straightforward, I would say 70% of it is excellent. I think for me, Chad knows that my biggest pet peeve is, one, the people that aren't transparent about what they make, and two, all the gimmicky whiskey. Anything that's flavored with chemicals, or the ocean aged stuff, because they put it on a boat, because you have to actually ship whiskey on a boat. I think Fireball has its place, but anything flavored, gimmicked, people that lie, I can't drink it personally.
I mean, it certainly isn't ever going to become a favorite if you're investing in something only to find out that the bottle itself is lying to you or being sort of just shallow by nature.
Yeah, makes me feel like a terrible person, and I don't like that.
What about flavor? Do you think is there whiskey that's pretty genuinely just you just don't like?
Yeah, anyone that tries to kind of, a lot of the newer guys that try and force age, the wood chips in the barrel, any type of accelerated aging, you can taste it immediately.
Yeah, I almost wrap that up into gimmicks.
Sawdust and cardboard, which, I mean, some people like that, but I don't know if anyone likes to eat cardboard. But yeah, so yes, it's out there. There is awful stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with the gimmick comment of there's a lot of whiskeys out there that are chasing something that doesn't exist, which is good whiskey without time. And good whiskey without time, we have yet to taste it. I'm not telling anyone no. I think that it's worth supporting some of these craft distillers.
Well, I think Peerless is the one that proved everyone wrong on that with their 2 years. So I mean,
it's a fair point. Although it's certainly not cheap.
Yes.
I think I'll buy my Rittenhouse instead of Peerless, or 4 bottles of Rittenhouse for each bottle of Peerless. But that's a whole other adventure. That's I hadn't even thought of that. Do we know why
it exists? I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm just saying
that's fair.
Anyone
in the comments? Does anyone in the comments have any idea why Peerless whiskey is delicious? Because we've got some pretty smart people in this little comment list right now. So let's see if anyone has anything to chime in.
Matt, I do not drink Screwball. No, I don't.
But what about Pappy 25?
It's expensive.
Man, I hate that stuff. It's not good.
I don't think it's that bad, and I definitely did not cross fingers drink any of that on the wall whatsoever, because that's that would be stealing. So I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you bought a pour once or twice, just once.
I like to pay my rent, Chad. I don't know about you.
The mortgage discount on that one. Yeah. Anyone watching, no one did any unsanctioned tasting. You said something earlier in a prior conversation when we were kind of recapping what we were going to try and talk about today, which was how old should bourbon be?
No more than 12 years.
So
I'm very opinionated on that. Plenty of people will yell at me, but no, any more than 12 years and you're doing it wrong.
I mean, but that transitions us into kind of that next topic of expensive whiskey. Are there any expensive whiskeys that you've had? And when we're talking expensive whiskeys, we're talking stuff that is too expensive to just buy. So anything north of $50 an ounce kind of thing, where you really, really need to pay attention if you're ordering it. Like, yeah. That's probably $50 an ounce is probably
that you're saying is
north of expensive.
That's worth it, or is don't do it.
Would any of those whiskeys end up in a favorite list?
Yeah, I think a lot of the Buffalo Trace antique collections over the past few years, I'm a fan of. Obviously, a lot of those get more expensive through vintage rather than like original release. But I would definitely give those a shout out. A lot of the scotches coming out.
Can't talk shit on Tobias and the Angel. Yeah, adventure.
I don't know if Alex is watching right now, but I know that him and I are huge fans of the Tobias and the Angel. So, yeah,
I think the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection is a unique outlier on the expensive world, because those aren't actually expensive. It's just the way that the distribution and retail market, and then subsequently secondary market, deal with those bottles. The distillers themselves sell them to us at 80 to $100 a bottle, which is relatively affordable. It's just that it comes with other strings attached. So I don't even count. I think that outside of the Pappy 25 year, I kind of don't count any of those special releases as expensive whiskey and what we're talking about, because
but I think we're
really worth addressing is like the Tobias and the Angel, the Booker's 13-year rye that came out at $400 a bottle, like, which I think then ended up at like $800, or like the Balvenie 30 years, or those crazy crystal decanters with the gem stuff.
What Jay's saying, yes, the Japanese whiskeys don't count, Jay. We all know they're good.
We can't even buy them if we wanted them to.
Yeah, so, which we can get into later about scarcity, but yeah, come on.
Yeah, well, and so is expensive whiskey expensive because it's good, or is it because it's hard to get?
I mean, you've argued this with me, but I've always argued scarcity, and it's because it's hard to get. And part of that is because it is good, and so that goes fast, But I think a lot of marketing and original release for prices do kind of stir that demand a lot. So,
yeah, and I think I actually agree with you that I think scarcity is the driver for expense on whiskey. It's just whether that mechanism of scarcity is production practice or literal supply, or supply versus demand problems of so many people want Pappy that it had to become expensive. Otherwise,
it's expensive to make and bottle that stuff too, and that's part of it. They're still trying to make money off of it.
Yeah, but it's $80 expensive, which is why they sell it for $80. It's not $600 or $4,000 expensive, which is what some of those prices are fetching. So it's kind of like it's a different game. But that Tobias and the Angel for $500 a bottle, or however much that was this combination of like 25-year and 26-year-old Cahuilla and Klein Leash. So you have this like inherent scarcity running around there, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're also buying and not making it. So you got to think that they're not distilling their juice and they're buying it from someone who has. They're paying that markup. So
yeah,
expensive blended Scotch does have that extra layer of middlemen that they're paying for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about like some of my other like really, really favorite ones in the world. We got earmarked to remember to talk about the Boss Hogg series. The Macallan single casks, where I think that Macallan has always been one of those brands that is just always this luxury tax of like, congratulations, you buy Macallan, it's super expensive.
Well, I mean, they have a great marketing team.
100%. And the
Macallan, it's also very good juice, so you can't discount them on that either.
Yeah, well, and they really proved that with that Macallan Edition series with the rainbow bottles, and those being just exceptional for what their relevant price was. I remember when the Macallan 18 price hit north, and then doubled what our Macallan Edition prices were, where the Macallan 18 should, for all intents and purposes, be a normal whiskey, but it's not, because of its like just sort of existing price. And then those editions are all limited editions and are now relatively inexpensive in comparison. And then they came out with that single cask series, and we had a 13-year and a 16-year, and the 16-year was like $700, but fuck, it's good.
Was that right on your shelf right back there? Is that that one?
No. That's a single cask nation that I really like. I have no Macallan on my shelf right now. It's over there. But that's one of the edition bottles. So Boss Hogg. How do you feel about the Boss Hoggs?
I think it's some of my favorite whistle pig. At least the corks fit.
That's true. All of that is true.
18-year.
I think some of them are interesting, and with that, we're gonna change topics to a little bit about scarcity. What were the two things that we always brought back from Kentucky?
The Heaven Hill 6-year, the original the Green Label Old Forester bottles.
Oh, I forgot about those.
That was a big one. And like the old, well, when they still had it, it was the old Fitzgerald 12-year.
Yeah.
Because we were buying them in liter containers.
For those of you that don't know, every one of the bottles that we just listed were under $20 a bottle. Heaven Hill 6-year bottled in bond was so much fun. I don't even know if I can. We drank so much of that Heaven Hill 6-year that I don't. If I tasted it now, I would know exactly what it was, but I can't tell you what it tasted like.
I mean, it's what, $9 a bottle with tax.
I think it was like $11.50, but yeah, the same adventure.
I mean, if anyone's been to Kentucky, they know you walk into these giant liquor stores and they'll have 600 bottles of it just on the shelf, ready to go at all times.
Ready to rock.
So,
well, and I think that
are you saying, okay, so we're talking price range. Is that your favorite whiskey for under $15?
Of course it is.
There you go.
Yeah, Evan Williams bottled in bond is 16. So yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And that 6-year when it was still around, and then they did what is responsible behavior, and they discontinued it and came out with a 7-year-old bottled in bond for 4 times the price, which is still $40 a bottle, which is a reasonable thing to do. But I think that's a critical like pivot point on like what's your favorite whiskey and thinking about price in that conversation.
I would say value pound for pound, right?
Yeah, but like when that Heaven Hill 6-year was $11 or $9 a bottle retail, it was clearly our favorite. We love that bottle because it was so cheap. It was so drinkable.
It was $12.
It was just like the amount of value we were getting out of that just made us so fucking happy.
I'm just sad because I went through college drinking Canadian Mist. So,
oh man,
to not know about that makes me very sad.
Wild turkeys, Zach. Austin Nichols wild turkeys.
I lived in Hawaii, man. That was not an option. When I moved out here and realized that booze was a quarter of the price, I blew my mind.
So,
a 30 rack used to cost like $50.
I'm with you. So let's stay on target. I think price has a ton to do with price and availability for me. Have a ton to do with what I define as whether it's a favorite or not. Because if it's super cheap, but I can only get it once, it only ever is interesting. It's like that one bottle I had that one time, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And when someone inflates that price and it becomes like, I kind of want to get a deal. It's just like,
well, I mean, I'm going to
tell you it's my favorite. I want a deal.
Yeah, you're getting into like price modeling and supply and demand, and a lot of that. And we talk about it all the time. Of a lot of these bottles, they didn't know that people were going to be drinking this much whiskey. 6 years ago, 10 years ago. So a lot of the stuff is rare and more expensive, and as they try and pump out a lot of these whiskeys, or a lot of these craft distilleries start trying to pump out stuff as fast as possible, you're gonna get hooch sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the marketing perspective of people recognizing value through bottling or advertising or pricing, even on a whiskey menu, we get to see a lot in that Speyside section of our wall, and noticing like, oh, okay, the Macallans have gotten absurdly expensive, but if you want to drink an 18-year-old Scotch, we have a ton of options that are pretty reasonable. And Glendronach was in that space for a good while, but it has started to kind of bump up again as well.
It is gone now.
But now we have a bunch of other ones, like let's all drink a bunch of Aberfeldy, or let's all drink a bunch of Glenallachie or Wolfburn, or like, there's a lot of options.
Well, people are getting bought out, and distributing is helping. We got a few questions. Yes, Chris, like Canadian Mist and Coke. No, I was straight out of the bottle.
I agree. I'll totally drink Canadian Mist and Coke. I mean, my headache I will hate myself.
Yeah. Chad, what is your favorite cocktail whiskey? I'd say, what's your favorite whiskey cocktail, and what's your favorite whiskey to put into a cocktail?
Tell Willem I'm not James Bond. I'm not telling him directly.
He can hear you.
I need you to tell Willem. I refuse to engage with that man.
No, absolutely not. My go-to is always the Sazerac, stirred, always. If I wanted lemonade, I would go to a gas station and buy it myself.
I'm a highball guy, 100% whiskey and soda.
Yeah.
And frankly, don't care. Doesn't matter what whiskey it is, so long as it's made respectably.
Sure.
So straight bourbon, straight American whiskeys in general. I tend not to do nicer scotches because I'm usually drinking a nicer scotch because I want to drink a nicer scotch, not because I want a highball.
Yeah.
Although there's been a few drunk nights where I've decided to drink soda water on something that I probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then, Irish is great.
Yeah. And Josh, I had one pickle martini one time.
Yeah, whatever.
Both know that it was
guy, whatever pickle martini guy.
She was pickle martini. Our bartender was so excited about it. He sold me.
Pickle martini guy, right there.
I'm below. You're down here. Oh, I'm sweating.
You're sweating. All right.
Anyway, back in check. I think.
Recap that sort of massive digression that we just had. Scarcity, price, availability.
Yeah, supply and demand.
Like, it needs to be cheap, needs to be available. Otherwise, it'll never be a favorite, and it'll just always be an oddity.
And it needs to be good.
Yeah, and it needs to be good, which is why we really like those bottled in bonds, because truly those are some of the best value for the money that you can get. It's why we prefer bourbon in general, because we live in the United States. It's relatively cheap in comparison to some other things, and we generally don't like a lot of the craft whiskey that's coming out is really hard to land in a favorites list because by nature of what their business model is, it has to be expensive.
Yep. Out of production, I mean, they're competing against people that have been doing it for 200 years. They have the infrastructure, they have the distribution, they have the storage, they have the tax breaks, they have their subsidies. That's a difficult one. And everyone is now making vodka and gin to pay for their whiskey. You're competing with Tito's.
In
order to make money, which
Smirnoff and became the number one selling spirit in America, which is absolutely absurd. Go them. You can talk shit on vodka all you want, but
they did it. Yeah,
you did it. I remember when they were small. So that's rad. I got to give a shout out to some of the craft distilleries for doing a really, really good job trying to kind of push the envelope.
I think a lot of the malts that are coming out of craft distilleries are fantastic.
Yeah, true. McCarthy's was a huge favorite of ours for a long time. I really like what the Balcones distillery is doing. I think
tell us about that because I didn't get to go there, so I don't. Chad wants to explain that one. He can take point on that.
I blame Brett.
Yeah.
Kirk and Sweeney 23 with Coke. That sounds like a lot of molasses going on. Sorry, I'm just reading some comments real quick as I run away from your request to give you shit on Austin.
No, Mr. Ballard. Yeah, internet sales have been awesome. I found some really cool stuff, eBay and online, and so the deals are out there. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, and if you know what you're looking for, or you know what you like, or the flavor profile that you kind of can expect, and you can understand, okay, if it's Scotch whiskey and it's coming from Scotland, which sounds redundant, but if you're buying off of international markets, there's a ton of counterfeit stuff out there. As long as you're buying from reputable sources, from reputable distilleries, you're going to end up with things that are absolutely delightful. So pretty much any Scotch, any bourbon. most American ryes, anything that says straight on the label from America, all of those purchases will be delightful. But also know that there's a chance for counterfeit on some stuff. So buy from good retailers. Interesting whiskey is kind of what I was getting at with the Balcones comment. And in the craft world, you find a lot of interesting whiskey. And
well, I think, when you drink as much whiskey as we do professionally, there is a point where you know what you like, but you're kind of looking for something new. I mean, a lot of times I would rather try a whiskey that I've never had or is interesting
Definitely.
or a flavor that I'm not familiar with, as opposed to, having the same thing and be like, all right, who can top who? But actually, who's doing cool stuff?
Yeah. Well, that's what sold me on Balcones, because you can say whatever you want about the whiskey that is currently being bottled and produced and sold, and I think there's some real gems in there. But the thing that blew me away about that distillery was how much. My running joke about them is that they are the best Scotch tour that you'll ever go on, mostly because they took a lot of really clever ideas and are inherently modeled off of Scotch whiskey in terms of style, but then have a reason for why they're doing everything. And in Scotland, without getting direct access to master distillers, a lot of the reasons for why they do things are because that's the way that they do them. So the going to Austin or Waco and learning from those guys about why they're making the decisions that they make, it was really cool to hear important reasons for why they do things. And then subsequently what they're chasing is what makes Texas special about whiskey production. And I think that's your and I's biggest gripe about Texas whiskey right now in general, is they're trying to copy bourbon and they're doing a bad job of it.
I think because they have a lot going for them. They have the heat. They've got those weather changes. But I think if they just try to make Texas whiskey, as opposed to trying to replicate bourbon, I think I'd be surprised to see what they come up with, because
that's why
I've had amazing Texas whiskey where they're like, screw it, we're just going to do it like this. And you're like, this is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the chase that everyone's having right now, is figuring out what is Texas whiskey, because that's a really difficult thing to figure out. But then also, I think our favorite thing in the world to do is to talk about interesting whiskeys, right? Like just changing the topic altogether off of Balcones and moving over to like some of the other whiskeys that are some of our favorites, like that Charbet Pilsner, the really expensive one, which you hate, I think is like one of the most interesting whiskeys ever. It's kind of expensive, sure, but it's all that like rich, beautiful.
Oh, I get it.
Butterscotch, sweet, and you finish it, and you're like, and you do this exhale, and it's just like a wet bong hit. And you're just like, what just happened? Why is there marijuana in my whiskey?
Yeah,
there's no marijuana in the whiskey. It's just distilled with hops, and it throws everything wacko. But it's really fun.
I mean, the finish that comes off is very pronounced. I will say that. I will admit that.
But that was also, you can't say that wasn't a really fun tasting where we went through all of the really fancy things and we tried like Balvenie 30 and we did a bunch of other stuff. And then we finished with that Pilsner.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was such a mental twist.
Absolutely. What else? Do you guys have any whiskeys that are just weird that completely surprised you? Pitch in just to keep everyone involved here before we go too deep into this.
I love some of the adventures. Alex just chimed in with Kilchoman is amazing, and he's so spot on with that. Where Kilchomans are one of those whiskeys. I think as a distillery would kind of always be a favorite of mine, but is tricky to sell to people because no one's heard of it. It's priced appropriately, which means it's going to be kind of expensive for these really premium peated scotches.
Yeah.
And then is in this position of like, do you want to try this really weird 6-year-old heavily peated scotch made by some like drunk assholes in the middle of Isla or at the far reaches of Isla that you can't really get to, that tend to really like rugby? And the short answer
I
is
mean,
like,
what do they have? Like 15 employees, something like that?
I don't know. It's not a lot of people. They do everything by hand, and it's because they're not doing everything by hand because that's the right way. They're doing everything by hand because that's the scale that they are.
Yeah.
Like it's just sort of like a feature of what they're producing.
I mean, I know people are gonna give me on this one. I love the Sierra Norte line. They had the black.
Oh, I forgot about those.
Which came out of a tiny mezcal distillery in the middle of Mexico where no one wears shoes. There's no walls. They work under like a carport.
Yeah, well, and it was all single varietal corn.
Yeah,
right?
That one. I think they've since transitioned from that, but that one of the few that they did was varietal corn.
Well, I think that's a pretty cool. I think we love telling stories, and one of the things that we gravitate towards are those like interesting whiskeys, and those interesting whiskeys tend to come with something that's fun to talk about, and that fun to talk about is really enjoyable. But does that make some of those interesting whiskeys truly a favorite?
If you're asking me if you had some rare breed in front of it and you had to make me pick one, yeah, I'd probably still go with my wild turkey.
Your rare breed?
Yeah.
I think one of the ones that was real sneaky and made John Glazier have the faith and desire to bring it back, but the Asila, the Compass Box Asila. Compass Box plays that game of delicious and curious so well that it really captures us from time to time. And that Asila was always that really nice one.
Feel you guys. What did you say it always used to taste like?
I mean, Josh won me over on that one because I didn't like it for a long time, and then was just complaining to him about how it was just sort of flat, and I didn't understand the whole like hubbub.
Josh and his mustache are very convincing. So
well, he just looked at me and he went, "Mate, it's because it tastes like sunshine." Yep. What whiskey have you ever had that tastes like sunshine? And I was like, none. Anyone? He just looked at me and goes, exactly, and walked out of the room. Yep. And then I kind of gave it another go and was.
He does the I won walk away. Yeah.
Yep. And he won. He fucking won.
Yeah, he usually does.
It was good stuff. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of fun. I remember when I first got into whiskey, I wanted all of my bourbons to taste like brown sugar, leather, and fire. I wanted all of my scotches to taste like iodine, shoe leather, cigarettes, and Isla Scotch. I wanted them to taste like man.
Cigarettes.
And then as I drank more, I started to, get more curious about other flavors. And then you start to find some really interesting nuances, and you like pick up a bourbon and you catch this like whiff and note of mint, and it piques your interest, and you think, oh, I haven't had that before.
Yeah.
And then you do it again and you try something else, and you start to catch. And that's where, again, I'm shouting out some Compass Box right now, how much the learning curve on Compass Box was for me, because I was introduced with the Peat Monster and obviously loved that right away, but also was curious why anyone would do that over Lafroig 10-year cast strength. And then something like Tobias the Angel comes out, and you get a taste for this flavor palette that is gentle. And you start to drink other whiskeys that are gentle, and it broke the mold of what I expected out of a Scotch or out of a bourbon. I was very willing to engage with something that was different, and that became a lot of fun. So that was rad.
Oh, we got here. Alex, the Old Forester 1910 that just tastes like blueberries. That was always very surprising. I think we did. And what was Chad the wet bong hit?
Oh, I'm typing it out for him right now.
Oh, was the Charbet?
Ooh, I have it all on caps. How stony am I right now?
That's fine. People will enjoy you yelling at them through YouTube.
Pilsner PIL?
Yes. Pilsner. This is what I deal with every day, people. Chad Spelling Pilsner. I love.
Charbet.
I think, but it seems like people were going Loving the Kilhoman, the Loch Gorm. Yep. Imported. The P Monster. Matt Eat Supernova. Matt, did you like
that one was fun. That's
which
like
year, Matt? I'm quizzing you right now from my room. Which edition of Supernova was your favorite? Yes. Couple of other favorites. I think I love the Ardbeg, the Kelpie. Now we're talking about Supernova. I think when we did that, we did a staff training of all the releases of Ardbeg, and that was surprisingly my favorite. I think that kind of dark seaweed.
What I thought was interesting is I didn't like the Kelpie, but I found it really interesting. And it's interesting that you really liked the Kelpie. Because you catch that. Yeah, there's so many interesting flavors on that one. It was very oceany. What did you love about it?
That it was different. But I don't know. I think it's kind of that finish, I think, got me at the end. I like my long finishes, especially with like the peated whiskeys. Well, Marty, I know you love Old Fitzgerald. You like the spring or the fall?
The spring or the fall?
Yeah, we're doing interactive.
So I think I wrote this down earlier, and it makes me think that we were probably onto something while we were talking. But I think interesting whiskey will always capture you for a period of time.
I agree.
But once you start to figure it out, it doesn't stick out too much longer. And it's either that it's scarcity or it breaks the mold so much that it doesn't quite fit into what you would classically call like kind of your favorite. But what it does do that I think is really important is that it gives you something to engage with somebody else about, because it's so curious that you need to tell that story. And telling that story and engaging with someone else about that kind of piece, I think, is kind of what whiskey is about. So I think that interesting whiskeys will always have a place, and that sense of discovery is really, really fun. But is it our favorite? I don't think so.
I like all of it.
I like whiskey. It's good. Like whiskey, we drink it. It's fun.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what are some of the whiskeys that you really love, Zach? As I turn around and don't talk to the camera at all.
That's fine. I mean, obviously, cask strength bourbon.
But do you want to drink that daily? And would you give that?
No, absolutely not. I think I do have this sleeper that Jay Stapleton turned me on to, that the Tom and Tool, like around the 16 year. It's one of my favorite B-sides, which I like, so not a lot of people know about. So you can still find it because it is out there. Most liquor stores.
Sneaky scotches nobody drinks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had most of the stuff. I think Peter stuff, the Freud, the Karches series is usually almost always fantastic, although expensive.
I think some of our favorites are those Knob Creek single barrels that we get a hold of.
Yeah.
Those are really special.
Our single barrels are definitely the most fun. I mean, being able to go out and, drink out of a barrel with master distillers, and all of a sudden they're like, which one do you want? And you're kind of like doing this, like
doing
that one,
that one. Thanks, Eddie.
It's different when you have a memory behind it with whiskey, it's yours and all that. So,
oh man, I hope do you think Pedro's on here? I don't know if Pedro's on here, but I think one of the great joys of my life was listening to Al Young just be mean to Pedro at the last Four Roses.
He did threaten to destroy his
camera. Rest his soul. That man was an angel.
He was. I loved him so much.
And it was a lot of fun to watch and listen to the knowledge he brings, the experience he had, and then just the teasing he gave to Pedro.
Here you go, Hallie. This one's for you.
Oh man, I kind of slacked off. All I actually have, I have I'm cheating on my wild turkey.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't drink it very often. It's kind of special.
It's half empty.
I felt like it was an important time.
Oh, yes.
I think we just totally forgot what we were talking about, which is what our favorite
we didn't want to bore people too much with how long we were going to have a personal conversation, but yeah, the rare breed, that I think I had a few. What about you? Other than
give me your top 3. Rattle them off real quick.
Highland Park Freya, rare breed, William LaRue Weller, antique collection.
Okay,
that was a lot of pressure. I might change my mind in like 5 minutes.
I'm gonna go Turkey 101, rare breed. I'm gonna name 4: Compass Box Hedonism, Springbank 12-year cast strength.
Okay. Yeah. See, those are all great choices.
I think through this discussion and kind of recapping it and talking about things, I think we've learned about what we believe our favorites need to be. Is they need to be affordable. It needs to be genuine. So there can't be gimmicks behind it. It has to be available and shareable. And I think the shareable is the key there.
Yes. And even though we're all drinking alone right now, I think being able to share this with you guys is what makes it fun. So, and it makes it taste better because now there's another memory behind it.
Yeah, and I think
too corny.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we love whiskey because it's delicious and it's whiskey. It brings people together, just like we're doing right now. Oh man, go with these guys.
Are they going off? I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's fine. They're having a good time. And yeah, just exactly what you said is that whole piece. So thanks for joining us. If you guys want to continue to support this foolish endeavor of Whiskey Society Live and help the staff out,
we're trying.
We can all bartend later. There's a GoFundMe link underneath the YouTube description. We have successfully kept the staff afloat for a little bit longer already. And we're trying to keep this going as long as we can because we don't know how long we're not going to be able to keep the doors open. And it's looking like it's going to be a while. So this is pretty serious. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys again. We'll be up on Friday at 8 o'clock again, this time with Josh, who has
had some really cool stuff coming. So
yeah, so should be a lot of fun. We're super excited about that. Let us know in the comments if you have any other questions, concerns, things to talk about. And Zach, you got anything else for us?
No, again, everyone, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I think I speak for the rest of the staff as well for sticking with us through this and just being a huge help. The GoFundMe has been a big success and hopefully we can keep that going. And, everyone stay safe and healthy and hopefully this is over soon and we can all open the doors again and have the biggest party since Prohibition that we've ever seen. So that's kind of my goal.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night. And we'll see you on Friday.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Oh, God. Give me another shirt.